So, hello and welcome to the next episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. And as you can see in the background again, we are going to talk about again the body language book I've begun 4 days ago actually. So, I will definitely um, keep up with some sort of mixing all these topics I am currently discussing or all these summaries I'm currently discussing so that it's not too boring, just talking about the same shit over and over again until this one is finished and then so on and so on. So therefore I will just, do it like I just like it some sorta. Maybe I'll even just prepare a third one and talk about a third one and so on. But I do think we've stopped it. No, I actually do have to introduce myself once again because I don't do it often. So I'm Christopher Walch. I'm 17, actually 18-year-old graphic design student from Austria, and I'm pretty fucking happy to be here with you now. I do have to tell another story for today because it's actually quite interesting because I actually learned something again. So today, as I was waking up, I actually, which was so fucking awesome, I actually had 2 hours less in school today because the first 2 hours weren't. So they got cancelled because my teacher is ill or was ill. I think actually is ill, sadly. Which it was actually or would have been the actual first time I had her, but she has been ill for around 2.5 weeks actually, which is quite unusual for a teacher. But as I was waking up, quite preparing everything, I get a message like there was a mistake or some kind of failure with posting your posts from the program I use for my daily scheduled posts on all these social media platforms. And then I was like, what the fuck? So normally, I just get a few messages sometimes, and there are just arrows which are either just some sort of not quite true or something. But actually this time it was something pretty fucking not honest, but something real. And so I looked everything up and then I saw it. My Instagram page isn't anymore connected with the actual app or the service I'm using. And then I was like, fuck, man. I do have to do it right now. And I just, tried in the early morning, to do this. Yeah, okay, it was like half. It was 7:30 a.m. actually, so not that early. But I tried to make everything and tried to kind of repair everything, but it didn't work. So I do had to post everything manually today, and I would have to actually post something quite right now, which was something then as I was going to the train or the train station, I was like, what can I learn from that? Or what does this one say to me? So this happening. And I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't just, focus so hard on Instagram. Because yeah, maybe, and definitely Instagram will reduce the organic reach, probably, because it's the same thing what happened with Facebook. And therefore, it would be just some kind of logically, because Zuckerberg also owns Facebook and also owns Instagram, that this would just be the same as well, which for me as a kind of owner of a social media company, it would make sense because everybody just is forced to really buy more ads and buy more reach and just, do not only rely on the organic reach. But the thing is, I do before just try to check everything again and to see if that everything is working. Didn't really work out that well, but I think I found the problem. But yeah, maybe I'm actually using another program to schedule everything, but I don't know. So what this was the point of the story? The point of the story is that maybe you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Even though I'm not quite doing it, but I do just to be honest, really focus on Instagram mainly. So especially Facebook is something I do not like and do quite think about, like, yeah, I do not have to do such, much on this platform. It's okay if I leave it with the posts I'm scheduling all day long. And with Twitter, it's a little bit a different story. I do just kind of tweet some things besides the scheduled posts. So, but yeah, we will move on with thumbs from code pockets. So it's common to people feeling a superior position. The boss will walk around the office with the thumbs out of his pockets, and when he is not there, the second in the line of command is likely to do so. None of the subordinate is likely to do it around the boss. And then I was quite thinking like, because I was working in terms of an internship last year in a company, and I was just thinking if there the two bosses were actually just going around like that. I do actually not remember, but I think I would have never done this by myself. So I would never have been like, putting my hands into my pockets and letting the thumbs show out. I would have never done this. I do think because actually just, only putting your hands in your pockets is something that's, I think your boss might not like to see it actually. Yeah, period. Yeah. So you can sometimes see people with their hands in their pockets and thumbs sticking out, but their arms are folded. The folded arms is defensive or negative, while the thumbs out show a superior attitude. And this was it with this kind of chapter. And we start with the evaluation and deceit signals. I love when Barbara and LNP say that lying is the oil greasing social interactions. Research shows that social liars are more popular than people who continue to tell the truth even though we know the social liar is not being fully forthcoming. I do actually believe and do really want to emphasize it now that this is fucking bullshit. Especially for me, or just at least for me. Because for me, just real fucking honesty is king. And is key for a successful life and for a happy life and all these great things. Because I do think, if you're just bullshitting around with people all the time, no, don't do it. It doesn't make any sense. Also your business partners, if they were there, weren't able to just trust you because you're always bullshitting around. And yeah. So the 3 wise monkeys. The author says or say that when we see, speak, or hear lies are deceit or something we don't want to hear or witness, our tendency is to use our hands to cover our mouths, ear, or eyes. Women are better liars. Ellen and Barbara Pease say women are better at reading emotions and even better at telling lies. So how to lie better? So I do just kind of point the things out that they say about the 3 monkeys. So it's actually like this. So covering your eyes, covering your ears, and covering your mouth would especially be a sign for someone lying. And as you might know, if you have been going through the other episodes, you might know that actually having closed palms is actually another indicator of someone is lying. So how to lie better? A good way of getting away with lies is to decrease your overall body movement, so that you won't send any negative signals. Lying is easier behind something that will cover part of all of your body, behind a desk for example, peering over a fence, from behind a door, or of course via telephone or email, totally. But the thing is, people who are lying generally tend to not use any body language at all. And this is something that I would say that you should not do if you just want to lie, which I hope you're not doing because it's totally bullshit, at my point of view at least. But people do not just really, make any gestures or something, which is also quite wrong for me because we all quite just, make gestures all the time and so on. So a little bit of it, but not just so overwhelming, so that maybe some negative signals, as they pointed out, might, just be a little bit sneaky between all the other signals you're giving. So how the face reveals the truth. When we lie, indeed, we increase our hand-to-face gestures and increase the number of gulps or salvia, and while there is no guaranteed movement that will let you know someone is lying, you can learn a few clusters that will dramatically increase your chances of spotting a liar. And the author of this article actually has there a note. Alan and Barbara Pease here seem quite encouraging about the fact you can spot lies. This is in contrast to FBI agent Joe Navarro, who takes a strong stand in saying spotting lies is notoriously difficult and unreliable. Yeah, well, I think it's actually pretty difficult because, and this is actually now something that I just do like to point out and emphasize a little bit more in this society, that we are all individuals. We are all individuals. And I do like it to say in terms of, do not read 500 pages a day if you can't do it. Do not, listen to that podcast if you don't like to listen to things for learning. Do the things you and yourself want to do, or just, find intelligent to do in terms of, you can learn better by watching somebody, or you can learn better by speaking or talking to people rather than listening or reading. And therefore, I would say, actually, in this kind of context, we are all individuals and we all have our own behavior patterns. And so, at my point of view, just to really point out liars or to really know if somebody is lying, you do actually quite have to know this person. And you have to know how they move and how they act, and how they use their face and their hands and so on. So I do think, and I do quite believe more in Joe Navarro, whatever he's called, so the FBI agent, who is saying that it is not that easy to do this, because again, we are all individuals and everybody's doing something uniquely. But there are some indicators of lies. Mouth cover or anything similar could be a fake cough. If they cover the mouth while you're speaking, they think you're hiding something. Nose touch can such an indicator, and people tend to smile less when lying. So nose touch can such an, this paragraph doesn't make any sense. So a nose touch could be an indicator, but people tend to smile less when they are lying, and in terms of the nose touch, it could actually only be an itching. The eye rub, men do it harder, women tend to judge or just get closer to the eye, and both genders can look away. The eye grab, another sign of anxiety. The neck scratch is a sign of doubt and uncertainty, which says, I'm not sure I agree. Collar pull, which is something I do not know and I hope you know. Fingers in mouth, a sign someone is in need of reassurance. Eye contact. Some people won't be able to hold eye contact when lying and they get caught the easiest. But since most people are aware of that, they will swing in the other direction, keeping eye contact more than they normally would, and get rarely caught. And the foot movement. And now we go ahead with boredom. Supporting the hand with your hands is a sign of boredom. Drumming with the fingers or with the feet are often misinterpreted, whatever it is called, I will never know it, as boredom, but they are actually signs of impatience. The degree of impatience is related to speed of the taps. And this is actually something that's that I do think a lot of people just mean like, he's just, playing around, he's bored, some kind of thing, but actually not. This was something great to really hear and to really actually read, as I was going through it my first time. Evaluation signals. Barbara and LP say that a closer hand resting on a cheek's face, sometimes with the index finger pointing upwards, signals the person is evaluating something. If they want to feign, it's FEIGN, interest, but are starting to the board the palm while start supporting the head. It's a little bit difficult to and actually, if I remember correctly, the person who is actually making these articles or making these summaries actually just really quite underlines the part that he actually does a lot of mistakes in terms of spelling and so on, if you do remember correctly, I hope. And therefore, there are actually a lot of spelling mistakes, which can sometimes be a little bit disturbing for me, especially when I'm reading it, and especially when you do not have the context and or the knowledge, or actually, the book besides you, where you can just be like, yeah, I do not get it. I do have to just read the actual page to understand the whole context. But if the thumb supports the chin, it's a sign of critical thoughts about the speaker or the topic. The index can rub or pull the eye if the negative thoughts persist. It can be mistaken for interest, but the difference is the supporting thumb under the chin. So like this. Can you see this? No, actually not. I think it's this one. Decision making. Chin stroking is a sign that a person is thinking what to say or what to decide. Stalling cluster or stalling clusters, and people wearing glasses can take them off and put one arm of the frame in their mouth. A smoker will take a puff of smoke, and someone with a pen can put the pen in their mouth. Putting objects in the mouth is a sign that a person feels like he needs more time and wants to delay an answer. Head rubbing and slapping. When someone forgot something or did a blunder, they might slap their own head to communicate forgetfulness. If they slap the forehead, they signal they are not intimidated by you. If they slap the back of the neck, it says you're actually a pain in the neck. Habitually, rubbing the back of the neck says that someone tend to be more negative or critical, while those rubbing the forehead tend to be more open and easygoing. Yeah. The last one, so the rubbing on the forehead, actually reminds me on a teacher of mine who is pretty intelligent and pretty crazy guy as well. And he's actually has three, I do not know, doctors or PhD, whatever, in different kind of areas, which is actually just for my school just very, very overqualified, or he's just overqualified for the whole school, which is just, pretty interesting that, such people are just, at a school like mine, where you just, could be someone and be there as a teacher. But yeah. But I do actually think the first one, with like, if you do slap your head, you just, communicate forgetfulness. I do not really know if just so many people will slap their heads, so I personally don't do it. I can think about people who just, or I could visualize people who are just doing this, just, because it would make some sense, but I haven't, I think, met someone who is actually just hitting their head because they have forgotten something. No. Sorry, I do know. This was actually pretty recently when this happened, which was also a teacher of mine, which was then quite funny actually. But yeah, eye signals. Barbara and LP say that women have a wider peripheral vision, men tend to have more tunnel vision. Women can look at you better without moving their eyes. And this is actually something that I wanted to try out with my girlfriend, and she was like, yeah, you know what, this doesn't make any sense. Some sort of, not really, the exact same words. But but I do. Women, I do want to really look that up. More peripheral vision. I do quite want to look that one up. The eyes have it. Men and women do see things differently. Yeah, it seems like to be. And just, I was quite only reading the headlines there. But it could be the thing. And then I was quite discussing with my girlfriend if it's like, because of nature, because I always just put everything in our really Asian days, where I'm like, the men are the hunters and the women and or the girls are just, the people who are collecting, just herbs and or fruits and all these things, but the men were hunting. And therefore I was thinking like, maybe women do think just or have a wider angle or wider peripheral vision, because they then just can see more of what's going on around them, or actually for the babies, so that they have an eye on the babies more easily and do not just have to look up and move their head actually all the time. But for men, this would also be great, because if they're hunting and there's actually a predator which is coming from the side of them and they don't see them, or him or her or whatever, this might not be that good and might actually be deadly. So having a tunnel vision for a man is actually maybe not that good of a thing. But yeah, pupils, dilate the pupils as a sign of attraction. So pupils which are pretty big, science seems to have shown that if we just look at something we actually like or love, our pupils just get wider and or more open actually, because this is actually only a hole, if you haven't known. So even though it just seems to be like a dark point in our eyes, it's actually a hole through which the whole light we see, so we only can see because of light. And this is the actual reason just light comes through our iris, not our iris, sorry, but our pupil, and then goes back on the actual back of our eye, and then the information gets some sort of decoded and sent to our brain. And so the pupil is actually only a hole, but it looks great. The iris looks quite great if you just make a really picture, a really highly zoomed in picture. It just looks so wonderful. This is why lighter eyes are considered more attractive, because you can more clearly recognize a dilated pupil, and this is why romantic encounters tend to be more successful in dimly lit places. The pupil dilates naturally. In a direct male, the pupil dilates naturally. This is actually a thing I do quite not agree with, but because I actually have the opportunity or have the kind of skill to widen my pupil if I want to, which then just is correlated with the focus I have on things. So if I do this, and if my pupil is wider or wider open, I do just see everything that's just very, very near to my eye. I do not know if this is, or this should actually be some sort of natural, that the eye is just doing it by default, but I do actually can sort of manipulate it somehow. I do not know why. It's just like it. In a direct mail campaign, LMPs was able to increase the sales of a lipstick by 45% simply enlarging the pupil size of the model. And this is actually then a really great thing, that you can actually use the body language things that you have learned here or somewhere else and put it into your area. So maybe you are a marketer, and so you can use it for your marketing efforts. Or you are, actually body language could be useful in every kind of situation you are, or every kind of area you are working on or working in. Interestingly, people are better at decoding eye signals than they are at decoding body language. Women do better as usual, but men didn't fare poorly. If someone is looking at you for more than 2/3 of the time, he can either be interested in you, in which case he will have dilated pupils, or she will have dilated pupils, or he'll be hostile, in which case he'll have constricted pupils. Women are good at deciphering it, men not as much. Deciphering, I don't know. The eyebrow flash. Just maybe, no, I'm going to read it. I just thought about if I should actually just some kind of shorten it and summarize actually this point, because it's only just some kind of greeting, and therefore I really tend to remind myself on actually using my eyebrows when I'm reading on my videos, and actually smiling as well, because when I'm smiling, my voice as well just has another tone and just seems to be a lot more friendly than I'm like this. So I do just remember myself to sometimes it's definitely just by default and just like I am, but I do kind of remind me to smile first of all, and I I do not remind myself to make the eyebrow flash, but I do just notice it every single time, because then my fucking forehead stretches so fucking hardly that there's no way I couldn't recognize it. So the eyebrow flash. The definite book of body language says that the eyebrow flash is the eyebrow rising rapidly for a split second. It's a universal friendly gesture to say hello. We don't give the eyebrow flash to people we don't like, and to strangers, and people who don't use it upon first meeting someone are perceived as potentially aggressive. Check Javer or Kafer or whatever in the likes switch says you can use the fine, again this FAFEIGN, liking for someone, and P says that you should always eyebrow flash people you like or those whom you want to like you. Actually a good thing. Eyebrow signals. Lowering the eyebrows shows dominance or aggression, and raising the eyebrows shows submission. Women raise their eyebrows and eyelids to make their eyes appear bigger and create the baby effect, or the baby face effect, which makes men want to protect them. And this is actually a good thing compared with, I do actually think we have learned this already in the summary, if you just lower yourself and look upward, because it then just, your eyes are just closer to the side of the other person you're talking with, because if you're like this, your chin is the most, or the part that's, has the most distance between the other person's eyes and, yourself, and your eyes are actually pretty near. Therefore, your eyes just appear way bigger as well. And if you just, do this, and if you just, some kind of combine those things, you're just an actual baby. If you do everything on the other way, you just seem to be pretty fucking aggressive, I guess. Looking up. Barbara and LP say that lowering the head and looking up is a submissive gesture women use to appeal to men. Yeah, actually the thing. So lowering the head and looking up. It makes the eyes seem larger and makes the woman more childlike. And P says that Diana made an art out of lowering her head and looking up while exposing her neck. Some women show sexual submissiveness by lowering the eyelids while simultaneously raising the eyebrows and looking up. It's one of the trademark of sex sirens such as Marilyn Monroe and Sharon Stone. More on sirens, read The Art of Seduction. This is also the expression that many women have during an orgasm. Okay. Gaze behavior. Michael Argyll or Argyle or whatever found that Westerners and Europeans look at each other for an average of 61% of the time while they speak, 40 to 60% when talking, and 75 to 80% while listening. 31% is mutual gazing. Yeah, I do actually think this makes sense, because I also do look at the other person. I'm quite a person who is just looking at the other one all the fucking time, no matter what. Just because I do kind of think, if I'm just talking to them, I should actually, just looking at them. I do kind of just, look around sometimes if I do just feel like, staring at the other person so fucking hardly that they feel uncomfortable, which is not something I would like to, or would like them to be. So I do just, really change it up and don't do it. So when one likes the other, he will look at him a lot. The person being looked at notice, and he will likely like him in return as well. This means you should look at people a lot to make them like you. Your gaze should meet theirs 60 to 70% of the time. When in foreign cultures, through the best course of action is to mirror the gaze time of your host, which is actually a good thing, because there are actually countries, and I do not know where I've gathered this information, where people just really stare at each other, and that's pretty normal. In Europe, and I think in America as well, or in the United States as well, it is not the case. So staring at someone is more crazy and more strange than just, normal or good. So therefore, this is actually great advice to just um, use the gaze time of somebody else or just some kind of native person and just do it the same. The dimmed people or timed, it's T, a strong T, so TIMID. People who rarely meet our gaze are seen as untrustworthy. When people meet and make eye contact, I do think they just kind of seem untrustworthy because they seem like not actually listening to what we are saying. Because we, I think, some sort of expect someone to be just, watching us or just looking at us while we're speaking. The thing is, for me, if I'm just thinking about it and talking about it, it do just have something to do with kind of trust and making yourself vulnerable. Because just keeping an eye on someone could, could be just an communication of, I do not trust you actually, because I'm looking at you and I'm looking at every move you're doing. Therefore, not looking at somebody while you're speaking with them means that you're actually trusting them. For me, as I just look at it by nature and or just the same thing like before in this really ancient kind of environment. It would make sense for me because, if you just do not have to look at somebody because you just trust them and you know that they won't kill you, this is just trust. But so when two people meet and make eye contact, the subordinate is usually the one to look away first. This means that not looking away is a subtle way of delivering a challenge or showing disagreement. Peace says that if the higher status person is your boss, you should keep your eye contact for a few seconds. Longer than is usually acceptable, but that you shouldn't do it regularly if you care about your job. Darting eyes. Barbara and LNP say that when your eyes scan the surrounding from left to right, we are looking for escape routes. We do it naturally even when we are talking to someone boring. If sometimes we want to avoid looking like we are being bored to death, we could then swing to the opposite same as we do for lying and look into our speaking partner's eyes even more than normal. In this case, we will often have a tight-lipped smile, similar to when we are lying. The thing with, which is actually, I do kind of feel like, if this is actually the thing for some other people as well. So if I do really concentrate on somebody's eyes, I mostly just do not listen to what they're actually saying, which is actually a pity because most of the time I just do quite want to listen to them and want to hear what they're saying, but I'm so focused on making eye contact or just recognizing my eye contact that I just, do not really get it what they say or just forget to listen some sort of. Because I'm always like, why am I staring so? Or should I stare even more? Should I look away? What is the best now? So, and there, I just ask myself questions, not that long, but just pretty quick and maybe subconsciously. But yeah. So the gaze geography, social gaze, is moving your gaze between the eyes and the mouth for about 90% of the time, or of the gazing time. This is non-threatening and the other will perceive you as non-aggressive. Intimate gaze, across the eyes and below the chin to lower parts of the person's body. From far its eyes to groin or below and near beats between the eyes and the chest. Intimate gaze is used to show interest and those who are interested will return this gaze. Intimate gaze too soon, though, would give the game away. Men miss it anyway, but women get it. The power gaze is looking between the eyes and the center of the forehead. Peace says that the impact is huge. It can change, or it changes, the atmosphere to very serious, and if your gaze doesn't drop below the eyes level, you can keep the screws on him. Never use it in friendly or romantic encounters, just on those whom you want to intimidate or quiet down. This is actually, I do think that body language is so fucking impressing. That's as well, but so fucking powerful. Because as you can see, you can just, change a whole situation just because on how you're acting and how you're just standing or moving or just what gestures you're doing or how you're looking. If you just have wide eyes open or if you're just not smiling or you're do smiling, and so on. The power stare. When you are under attack, maintain eye contact without blinking. Narrow your eyelids and focus closely on him. If you have to move from person to another, don't blink and first move your eyeballs and then let your head follow with your shoulders standing still. Starting a great job interview. A man wants to check a woman's hair, legs, and body shape, and you should allow that to happen to make everyone feel at ease. Shake hands, then give the interview a 2 to 3 seconds time window to scan you. This strategy also helped selling better, which is actually some kind of weird if you just, write it down like this or read it like this. But I do actually think, it's just it, I do not want to say that every man is doing this, not consciously, definitely not, but for sure some people might be doing it subconsciously as well, but for sure some people are just doing it because they enjoy it as well. So yeah, so every kind of sector is kind of available at my point of view. Territories and personal space. 1 arm length away is always a good thing, or it seems to be. And I do just, I want to see if this is actually the case and if they just talk about it themselves. Barbara and Alan Pease, and actually every single sentence goes on with Barbara and Alan Pease. Go into the personal zones here, which I won't go into details here because it's a well-known topic. The distance tends to reduce between 2 women and increased between 2 men. When people embrace the distance, they keep their hips apart, gives away information about the relationship. We hate riding elevators because the cramped space get other people into our intimate zone, and Peace says the behavior we follow is called masking, which is everyone's trying to hide their emotions by wearing a natural mask. And the people riding in the subway at rush hour, the author says, aren't really happy or aren't really unhappy, they are just masking their emotions. I also found particularly interesting that Peace says that the people who go around slapping everyone on the back is secretly disliked by everyone. I do just think if it's, a person who is just doing it because he wants to, just, slapping others' backs and say, hello, how are you? Or if it's like, if you're just in a really crowded space and you do just, piss everyone on by just, going around all the time and, hitting every person and just slapping them on their backs just accidentally, I could understand that. But in terms of, you're actually just willing to be nice, I don't understand that. Why mobs get angry? Barbara and LP says that one of the reasons why mobs get so angry is because everyone is on everyone's personal space. When the police breaks up the crowd, the dynamics change and the riot usually stops. And the author says this is why ours, actually I think a mistake, why the highest crime and violence are also areas with the highest population density. So this is why areas with the highest crime and violence are also areas with the highest population and or density. And a quick note from the author of the article, I'm not sure this makes any sense at all. Places with the highest population density also happen to be the poorest areas, and poverty is correlated with violence and crime. Actually totally true, and this is a fact that's great the author just points out and emphasizes. Spacing rituals. The authors say that when deciding where to seat, people will usually pick the place that gives them the most space. If there's only one person sitting, the person who just arrived will usually pick a place between the person sitting and the end or front row, so as not to offend the sitting person. Yeah, I'm just also doing it all the time. I do just, take either a seat that I kind of feel comfortable with taking, or I would just, take no seat. This is actually an option I do just often take, because if I just sit or just stay around in the train is, just doesn't matter for me. I do actually think that this is actually good for me because I'm sitting all day long, and so staying a little bit on the weekends or somewhere else if I do not have to work on anything, which is some kind of, would then be some kind of a reason for me to really sit down if I do have to work on something. I just stay because why not? I'm always I'm always sitting, so standing a little bit isn't that bad. Cultural differences. Barbara and LPs tell the story of an Italian couple in Sydney being accused of hitting on everyone at a club they joined because the Italians, coming from a smaller personal space culture, were standing too close for the Australians. Japanese also tend to stand rather close. City dwellers, also tend to have smaller spaces than country people. Totally, because they're just used to it, I think. And, people or country people or people from the countryside do actually have more personal space or more space in general. So, therefore, having a bigger personal space would make sense. Territory and ownership. The definite book of body language goes into a topic I have long observed before it became conscious. People can feel like a certain seat or space belongs to them in a place they often visit. Or they might feel ownership of the kitchen in a house if they are using it. To avoid offending anyone and starting a relationship on the wrong foot, it's a great advice or idea to ask when you visit someone's homes which seat is yours. People driving cars tend to feel like they have a bigger personal space, and that's why we see so many incidents of road race pieces. And this is actually something I do quite understand, because if there's somebody at my home, some, I don't know, people related to us or some friends of my parents, or, just some people, and I can't really sit on my place or my seat I usually sit on, I quite feel not that comfortable. I kind of feel like different, because I'm maybe just used to the seat I had all the time. Therefore, I just understand this why. And this is actually something I do quite have to remember, that always to just ask the person, which seat is yours, or is this your seat, or where should I sit? And if they just, okay. If you see, if you ask them, where can I sit? And they say, like everywhere. I think most of them, they will just point to a place where they want you to sit. So therefore, this would actually also be some kind of option. So they would never, at my point of view, would never then just point to the place or to the seat where they are always sitting. I do think like that, yeah. So how the legs reveal the mind. The legs are actually one of the body parts that actually show quite a lot of, not your personality, but how your mental state is at the moment, or how you're feeling at the moment. So definitive book of body language says that the farther away a body part is from our mind, the less awareness we have of it. And that's why legs and feet are some of the most honest body parts. Walking style. Young and healthy people walk faster, resulting in arms swinging the most. Yeah, maybe. I do just, I quite run. I quite run or sprint all the time. And I do just have quite always my hands in my jacket pocket, so I'm not swinging. But that's maybe due to the cold weather we have. So would I swing? Yeah, probably yes. Almost if they were marching. This walking style has been adopted by politicians and public figures who want to look younger and healthier. Or healthy. And Barbara and LP say that people walking slowly show they have plenty of time or not interested in what they're doing or have nothing else to do. It's okay for retired millionaires, but not for people who want to convey authority or health for potential mates. Influential people commanding attention walk briskly at a medium pace with medium length strides. Legs and feet. Barbara and LP say that evolutionary speaking, legs serve the purpose of going towards what we want and running away from what we don't want. So the way we point our feet and legs tell us where we want to go. As a rule of thumb, open or uncrossed legs show an open or dominant attitude, and crossed positions reveal closed attitudes or uncertainty. Yeah, this makes sense. This is just the same thing as with, crossed arms, so quite with the other part of your body, just quite the same. And actually, today I was standing there, and this is only because of this book and only because I'm discussing it on here. I do just really keep attention to what my body language is like. So I do, if I put my hands on my back, I do really just, keep attention to not grabbing my wrist or even, upper parts of the arm, which just tell other people or tell myself to be some kind of defensive or not sure or, some kind of negativity. Therefore, because I like to stand like this, I do just, make the hand in hand thing where I just, put my hands behind my back, but, do not grab my wrist or my arm or whatever, but I do just have one hand laid in the other hand. Yeah. Standing positions. At attention, standing with your feet close together is a formal and neutral position, showing no signs of a commitment, of commitments towards any particular course of action. With men and women interacting, women use it mostly and employees use it with bosses. So standing with your feet close together. Legs apart, predominantly a male position and the equivalent of a crotch display. The crotch display, we've had that, and this, at my point of view, just shows dominance and I'm big and look at how strong I am and nobody can do something against me or whatever. Foot forward. The foot forward points in the direction our mind wants to go. In groups, we point our foot, we point our forward foot, to the person we find most interesting or attractive. The leg cross, standing leg cross and scissors, show that someone wants to stay but has a closed, submissive or defensive attitude. It is usually adopted in the presence of people we feel superior to us. It is usually adapted in the presence of people we feel superior to us, and studies show it's usually people who lack confidence who uses it. Yeah, and I do think this is quite the end of this episode, because then there is something else coming up, which also just, fit under the part of or under the chapter of foods and legs. But I do, they just are some kind of different from the other parts, so I won't discuss it by now, in 2 days then. Or actually, in 2 days, because tomorrow is Thursday actually. On Friday there will be, as always, 2 episodes, so I just was thinking like, maybe it's Tuesday today and Thursday today, and maybe tomorrow I do have to make 2 episodes, but no, it's not like that. But I do hope you get a lot out of this one. If not, tell me. If yes, tell me. So there should everywhere, and I do have just quite updated the link in my podcast description. So not the description of the episode, but the description of the podcast itself. This is kind of link, you click on it and then you see all the links that lead to all social media platforms I am on. So it's pretty nice graphic, and you can see where I am and click on all the fields that are available there to just get to the social media platform of your choice. But that's with it, and I do hope you nothing more than incredibly and ultimate happiness. I think I do have to say it every single time at the end of an episode. But I do wish you success, health, wealth, happiness, that you actually give something back, a great legacy, and as I said, happiness. With that being said, and this is actually what I and my life should stand for. And I do have to correct something I've been saying quite a lot. I do have started this as an idea to create money, but in the meantime I know that only thriving for money won't make anything good. The good thing about this is that I'm currently not making any money with what I'm doing. Therefore, I'm just doing it anyways. But if I do just get money from it, I just have to remind myself every single day, money is not what makes me happy, but helping people and helping people and giving people happiness and maybe information what they actually need is the thing that will make me happy. And this is something I know, but I just wanted to make clear, yeah, I kind of started it because I wanted, or initially just wanted to make some money. Yeah, but I love you anyways. Doesn't matter for me. I love you. Thank you for being with me. I'll see you the next time.